Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I thought today we'd just do a fun Q&A. I've collected some questions from the anonymous app and I also have COVID, so apologies if my voice sounds a bit different. So let's get right on into the questions. Okay, so the first question is, would you leave your SO, significant other, I think that means for a celeb? Right off the bat, no. Don't need to explore that question. Worst personality characteristic. I'm an Aries, so I think every time I read about Aries, we are like the most selfish like star sign. And I definitely have had people say that I'm a good Aries, but a little do they know that I do feel like I can be quite self-centered, but I try to use it in a positive way. Like I try to bring that out in my work, and I think that can be really good if you are like running a business or you're creative, to kind of just be like, it's good because it means I don't give a toot about what anyone else is up to. I'm so like focused on myself, but then that can be like a double-edged sword, because I think it can help me be like really motivated on what I'm doing and not compare. But I think it can also mean that I'm like my own worst enemy with myself. Worst personality trait. I'm messy. There we go. I'm quite messy. I'm quite unorganized. If I've been anywhere, you'll know about it, because I leave a trail like a snail. Next question. Newest song in your library. I really like Remy Wolf's latest song, Pajamas, that she's featured on with Benny Sings. I also really like all of Ray's new like debut album, but we've been listening to a lot this week Laura Marling's last album, Song for Our Daughter, which is just such an easy listening album, and I just love everything Laura Marling. Also Laura Marling's Soothing album. I'm like an album person. Like I love to listen start to finish to a whole album. So yeah, I think anything Remy Wolf, anything Laura Marling, and like obsessed with Ray's new album. Like those are the three things I've got like on repeat at the moment. And then the song You're All I Need to Get By Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. I rediscovered this song like a few weeks ago, and it's just been my morning song. Love that song. So nostalgic. Has it been difficult being in business with the current economic pressures? Such a good question. I do think that right at the beginning of people talking about how there was going to be a crash, and I remember during like early COVID, like before we even went into the lockdown, I was following some people online that was saying like, be prepared because we might have a crash, like if we do go into a lockdown and businesses have to shut down. So in my mind I was already kind of like preparing, but I would say that it's really important to remember and like look at other businesses that thrive during like difficult times. I also am 31 now because I just had my birthday, so I do remember I've lived through economic crisis before, like a crash. We had a crash in is it the early 2000s? I know that was when my parents lost their house because, well, my dad said that he like lost so much business during that crash, and that was like a big crash at the time. And so I've read a lot about creatives' stories through that time and how like they pivoted and figured out a way to thrive despite like what was going on, or even use things to their advantage, like figure out a way to like lower their prices in a way that wasn't affecting their business, or just pivot in a way that actually made them really successful. And then also I read during the recessions, lipstick sales do go up, and it is because despite there being what was the word I literally just said? I can't remember it now. Despite there being like difficulties economically, people who can still afford small luxuries will want something small in their day to kind of make them feel special and make them like feel uplifted. You've got to come out this way. Come on, good boy. Oh, the wire's in his way. There we go. So I think that's really important to remember, because I know loads of artists felt like a lot of guilt, like selling themselves during the lockdowns, because obviously people are going through really difficult times. But it's really important to remember that like the people that can afford you will pay for you, or like will buy from your shop. And there will be people, despite there being like really difficult economic times for lots of people, there will be people that are making a lot of money during those times. And I think it's really important to remember that like there's lots of people out there in the world, people that maybe wouldn't have gone on their holiday this year might be making a smaller purchase than a holiday, and might buy themselves like a posh lipstick or something like that. I think it's really interesting. Look at the facts, look at the market sales of luxury products. It's really important to look at the facts, because I know in my circle, like growing up working class, I know that I obviously know a lot of people that are struggling with money regardless of whether there's a crash or not. And I think it's really important to know that there are people in the world that do want to like work with artists, pay for artists, like making a lot of money, even in like times of like massive recession. And I think it's important as an artist to like put your prices up during this time. I know that I have, and there are so many small businesses that like thrive during difficult times because they've pivoted or what have you. And talking about running a creative business, I am running a workshop on the 4th of April, which is coming very soon, all about the art of running a creative business. I think it's so important when you look at your creative career to look at it from a business perspective. I think that allows you to have some separation for your mental health, and also allows you to tackle challenges that come up along the way with your kind of business hat rather than your creative vulnerability side. And I will be sharing spreadsheets, I will be sharing email etiquette, I will be sharing so many parts of running a creative business that people don't talk about, that like creative courses don't prepare you for. And I'll be sharing all my tips and secrets to the business side of running a creative business, like being an illustrator. If you want to join, the info will be in the description. I'd love to see you there. Okay, goals for the rest of the year. I really want to be posting consistently on YouTube. I really want to finish a couple of secret projects that are like personal projects. I really want to learn Happy Birthday on the accordion that I just bought, like a mini toy accordion. Maybe I'll include a clip of me playing at the end of this video. I really want to finish my knitted jumper that I've started. Yeah, I've got quite a few personal projects that probably number one, I want to be putting them out there. Also, my goals was to do like more events and more markets, which I feel like I've booked up quite a few markets this year. I've got one in April at King's Cross in London. I'll put the details here or in the description. And that will be my second one of this year, and I've got a few more booked for the rest of the year. If you know of any markets in the UK, please let me know in the comments or DM me or message me, because I'd love to book more. I think I've got like 5 booked for the rest of the year, but yeah, I'm really excited because I hadn't done a market since like way before COVID, and I really enjoyed doing them, it's also really nice to like do them at like, yeah, they've just been really, really lovely and really rewarding. I'd love to do a whole video on markets. Maybe I need to do that because I've been learning a lot on like what to take, what to bring, how to prepare for a market, how to set up. I've learned so much from my friend Sophie, who has also done lots of markets. I've also learned because I've done one recently and I made like a whole list. So let me know if you want me to do a whole video on like, I feel like I've got a hair on my face. Let me know if you want me to do a whole video on like preparing for a market or what I've learned doing markets. There's definitely a hair on my nose. So yeah, let me know if you want me to do that video. But yeah, I think those are a few of my goals. It's a nice mixture of like fun things, like things to do with work, things to do with like not work. Okay, next question. How's your dad doing and how has that impacted you? Oh, I love it when people ask about my dad because it feels like you guys are my friends and you know so much about me. So if you didn't know, my dad has Alzheimer's. I was caring for him for the last few years, and he's now in a home and he has like just such wonderful care. He's made such improvements of like having a team of people that can help look after him. It was definitely an adjustment and I felt so much guilt. But he's been in a home for a few months now, and you can just see that the care he's getting there was just so much better than like me and my mum who like work full time. And yeah, he just needed like so much care. He needed like 24/7 like supervision care that we just couldn't provide. We're very, very lucky with the situation, and I feel grateful every day that how things have all fallen into place. And I still, even though it was really hard caring for him, I do feel like not many people have that privilege of spending so much time with a parent before they, you know, get really ill. And so even though it was so hard, I know a lot of you followed my journey with like how hard that was, and how much an impact it had on my mental health, on my creativity, on my work, and like my joy. Caring for someone is like that has Alzheimer's is one of the hardest jobs in the world, and hats off to anyone who has been through it or is going through it. So there's still feelings of guilt, but I keep trying to remember that like he would have wanted me to do what made me happy, like follow my ambition and follow what I wanted to do. It's like Alzheimer's is like the hardest way to lose someone because you just feel like you're constantly grieving, and like, yeah, it's sad, but I am in a better place with knowing that he is getting like way better care than I could have ever given him. Oh, I got a cute question. How did you and your boyfriend meet? So we met on Bumble. Shout out to Bumble. But we had like a few mutual friends. I think we could have been at the same house parties when we were a teenager and just never met. But we talked for ages before we officially met up, and I really like doing it that way. But obviously because of the lockdowns and everything, it was during that time. So yeah, that's how we met, basically. Next question. Do you think that the market is saturated for starting a business, especially in the current climate? I hear so much, like this has been a thing that people have been saying since I was a child, like about creativity. Oh my God, there's just so many artists, there's so many creatives out there. And then when Instagram came on the scene, oh my God, like everyone is a creative, everyone has a small business, everyone's doing something online. And it just, obviously then TikTok happened, and then the same thing kept happening. And I just think anyone will use, and I don't want this to sound too harsh, people will use any excuse not to do like hard things, that including following their dreams. I think the way that I've been able to like continue being a full-time artist is like diversifying my income, having multiple sources of income. I don't know, I just think it's a bit of a cop-out. That's like the harsh truth, because yeah, I've seen people way more talented than me say this, and I'm thinking like, if you literally just emailed 100 people tomorrow, you would like get so much work. Yeah, you know, they'd be like, no, I just think too many people are doing it. Also, a lot of these small businesses that you can be following online, you don't even know if they're making money. Like, let's be real. And I really think there's like plenty of room to go around and plenty of work to go around. I think that this thinking can be really dangerous if you are someone that is setting up a small business, because the moment that you start thinking like this, I think you can spiral into comparison really easy. And I would definitely encourage you to listen to that book. Right, next question. Oh, I got this question that said, don't leave me unopened. Just as a reminder, I am a small business. I'm a one-woman band. My social media, everything I post there is like free, unpaid content. I love that people want to have a conversation with me about it. I love that you share my work. Like, honestly, it makes me so happy to see people react to my artwork. Like, that is the reason why I do it, because I want to connect with people. I love building those relationships with people online. Like, so many of my best friends, like so many of my friends I've met through my Instagram, and I love that. I love that, like, you guys know who I am, and like we have this back and forth and we have this beautiful relationship. My paid clients, where there's contracts in place, take my number one priority. Like, social media, like, it is important as part of my business, but there's going to be times where I can't reply to people. Like, there's only so much time in the day. Work and clients and like people who bought from my shop are number one priority into who I respond to, and sometimes that takes up all my time. So and I'm an Aries, so if you are someone that doesn't have a contract in place with me and you are wanting an instant reply from me, it really like, I just think it's a bit disrespectful. I think it's a bit rude, because assuming that anyone owes you, like assuming that that person owes you their time, like, it's just a bit like crossing some boundaries, I think. And I put so much free content out there to help people, to share like what I wish someone had told me, and I work really hard to like share so much of that for free, completely unpaid, like this video, because I do like want to help people. I just think I need to like have a bit more kindness in assuming that people have their own lives, and people work really hard to share things online that take a lot of time, that maybe they just can't respond to people like all the time. Oh, I got a question that says, how are you close with your parents? You know, I've always put like a barrier up between both of my parents. I wouldn't ever describe our relationship as close, but I do see my mum a lot, and I do respect her a lot, and I have a lot of love for both of my parents. But I wouldn't say that we're close, and I wouldn't say that my mum knows me. Like, there's a distance there, if that makes sense. But yeah, we do see each other a lot, and I do care for her a lot, so there's a lot of love there. Meaning of life. I just think the meaning of life is to like find joy and like live every day in the present moment, and like do what makes you happy, and in turn like you'll have the energy to be kind to others. And for me, so much of my healing journey was accepting that like it's not my fault that bad things happen to me, but it's my responsibility to figure out a way to heal, to work through those things, and like, yeah, do put the work in healing those things in order to kind of like come out with things the other side. For me, it was like an aha moment to like realize that so much of my life now I've like manifested and like worked really hard to achieve. I wouldn't have been able to get to this place if I hadn't done like loads of work on myself anyway. So yeah, work on yourself, work on your joy, and like live every day in the present moment. And I think like the things that bring me the most joy aren't accolades. They are not things I can buy. They are not like, as well, like having so much family in Chile as well, and seeing so many people from a young age that have so little. Some parts of the world where there's so much poverty, like people are happier there than they are here in the UK when there's like so much privilege, so much money, like so, and like especially from where I grew up, like people walk around like they are pissed off, yet like they have a massive mansion and they have like loads of cars, and it's like, I think that really puts things into perspective, that like joy doesn't, you can just find joy in the everyday, being present, and that's it. Oh, your last song on Spotify. Let's see, we've actually been listening to records. We went to our local record shop. Oh god, there's mud on it. And they gave this one, I love like a bargain bucket where it's just like records with loads of different songs on them. Got this, look, bought a couple of them in the bargain bucket for £1. And they gave this one for free because it was like falling apart. And we were playing it this morning, and there's a song on here, The Mystery Girl by the Dukes, Laughter and Tears record with like loads of different artists on the back. And yeah. Oh, worst date you've ever been on. I think it was a Tinder date, and it was awful. I just got this feeling of like I should be going, and like I think my dungarees on and Doc Martens, and he wanted to take me to Mayfair, and I was like, oh, I just don't want to go to Mayfair. Like instant like, oh, this is gonna be bad. And he was just awful person, like just super showy offy. He said like, don't worry, I'm not going to try and sleep with you because I can just pay for that later. And he was like flirting with all the waitresses. He was like looking over at all the other women in the place, and it just, and it was like back when I wouldn't have been the kind of person to like get up and leave. I just felt so bad and trapped. And then when I tried to make an excuse to go, he was like, oh, I'll walk you to the station. And I was like, no, but I couldn't vocalize that. And then, funnily enough, I went back to a friend's house, and they've just moved into a new flat, and the girls in the flat were like, oh, we just heard that you had a terrible date, like let's sit down and talk about it. And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. It was so awful, it was so embarrassing. Like I just had this icky feeling the whole time. I cried in the toilets. Like it was just awful. I felt like, yeah, awful. And then turns out one of the other girls was like, oh, I went on a date with a really weird person like earlier today at like 5 p.m. and my date was at like 6:30 or something. Turns out it was the same person. We took a selfie of ourselves, like sent it to him, and he proceeded to like call me and like abuse me like all night, try and call me. I didn't pick up because I made an excuse that I had to go back to see my mum, and obviously I didn't. I lied. I went to go see a friend, and yeah, he was really abusive, and I had to end up blocking him, and he was just angry that I lied to him. And he was going like, I'm a millionaire, like I'm all this, I'm all that, like, yeah, and disrespectful to women. It was very disrespectful to women, and that was my worst date experience. So there we go. Okay, top tips for overcoming anxiety. Meditation, therapy. I know that it's very expensive. I just like tried to like be really good with my money and cut out on things I didn't need, and like drinking or going out or maybe selling some things or whatever to try and do like a month's worth of therapy and like BetterHelp or something like that. Or if you're in school or university, like literally take advantage of all the free therapy that you can get. And the book The Age of Anxiety, amazing book. Journaling, like just try and do all of the things. A lot of the time for me, my anxiety was like my trauma like just bubbling up to the surface, and I started to like really deal with it and tackle it head on. And then also it got worse for me when I felt like I was going against what I needed to do as a career. So I think even though it can be a really difficult feeling and an awful feeling of anxiety, for me, my anxiety is a really big indicator on like what's going on with me mentally, and like what I need to be focusing on, what people I need to get rid of in my life. And so I think even though it can be an awful feeling, it can be a really important and good thing that can push you in the like right direction or pull you away from someone or whatever. I think understanding that like not all anxiety is bad anxiety. Like sometimes it's just normal to be like fucking scared. Like it's normal. It's like a good thing. It's like if you weren't anxious in some of these moments, like I'd be worried for you. Do you know what I mean? Like public speaking or like seeing an ex or something like that. Like sometimes it's just being a bit kinder to yourself. But yeah, take some work, and I definitely think you can like have a life without anxiety, and that is really important to also like visualize for yourself, because I think that I would have never have thought I would have overcome my anxiety, and I have. And I think that's a really important story that like I told myself that really helped me imagine that this is just a short period of my life and it's not going to be forever kind of vibe. Currently unemployed due to anxiety, would love to be self-employed. Any advice? Me and my boyfriend, we went on a walk and we talked about like loads of things relating to like people wanting to start their own businesses, being self-employed, from being unemployed to go into being self-employed. I guess that episode will be coming out to my Patreon very soon, but the overall discussion was like, I think you need to do whatever you need to do right now in this moment to help your anxiety. And if that means getting a job that is easy, that maybe you can do from home and remote, that can help like pay your bills and help get you by, do whatever you need to do right now to prioritize your mental health, because I don't think setting up a business or like becoming self-employed necessarily always is going to help your mental health. And I think that but I could be wrong, like who knows, like you do whatever you need to do, but that would be my advice. And then if you do want to start a small business, or if you're a creative, doing things on the side in your own personal time allows you to kind of develop what you want to do, develop your own style, develop your own voice, build up that client basis, build up your portfolio in a way that it isn't solely relying on your bills. Because I don't think always taking like the best creative decision is always like the best like economic monetary decision. And the creatives that I have seen thrive were people that built their like small business on the side of having a full-time job, so they were able to really develop their voice, their craft, their skill, their creativity in a way that wasn't relying on being their like full-time income. And then that's why they're so unique and so individual, and then why their voice is like, and their skill and their creativity is so unique because it isn't trying to like follow a trend or follow what can make money or follow what someone else is doing. It's so unique, and that has been the reason why they've thrived and continue to thrive when they make the jump to doing that full time, if that makes sense. And I think that so many people think setting up a small business or being a creative is like, oh my god, it's going to be so much fun, it's going to be really easy, and like all these aesthetic like reels of people living out their small businesses, it's like gorgeous and that's the life I want to have. There is so much admin, there is so much rejection, there is so many things that aren't aesthetic, that are not fun, that can be really negative on your mental health, like getting comments of like, why are you not replying to me, that like getting hate comments, like getting your idea like rejected time and time again, the amount of outreach you have to do, the amount of emails you have to do, the amount of like flexibility you need, like it's not always going to help your mental health if that is what the main thing that you're struggling with right now. I think there is so much power in having your bills covered by a part-time job or a full-time job that you can do, that is easy, and like let your creativity or let your small business idea like grow over time. Patience is something I was told from very young. Have patience, work on it on the side, and I guarantee you like that will be the reason, like the best thing. You'll think like, oh, because I think when people do make the jump too early, or they're trying to make creative decisions, or like their small business is like mainly being guided by like, I want to make money, I think it can work. Sure, it can work. But from what I have seen from the people that have really thrived, who are older than me, they built things very slowly on the side of having a full-time job. And their full-time job was something that covered the bills, allowed them to have a beautiful, fulfilled life and like live fruitfully and live, and then they built something on the side, and eventually that became their full-time thing. I think prioritize your mental health, number one. That should be the goal, number one. And if you have an idea, if you have something that you think would be an amazing small business, I think let it be something that builds over time, because there is no time limit on an amazing idea. I know for me, when my mental health has been poor, it has just impacted my small business in a bad way. So prioritize your mental health, do whatever you need to look after yourself, and like get help for your anxiety. But also, I could be wrong, like do whatever feels right for you as well in the moment. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much to everyone for their questions. I'll put the app for the anonymous questions again in the description. Maybe I'll do another one of these. If you have any other comments or questions, like pop them in the description of this video. And that's a wrap. Lots of love. Bye.